Okay, welcome back, everyone. This is call 47. 47. We are almost at the end of the year. It's the first call of December. If you haven't set your goals, of course, this is the day. This is the day we set our goals for the month of December. I'm just curious, how many of you actually set goals every month? Most of you, not all of you. Okay, what's the difference between setting a goal and not setting a goal?
Without a goal, you don't know where you're going.
Yeah, you have nothing you're striving for. You have nothing to measure against. You don't know if you're on track or off track. So definitely, yes. Any other reason? Or what's the difference between a goal and no goal?
If you have a goal, you have measurable objectives so you can benchmark where you are at the beginning and the end of the month.
Okay. Yes, you can. One other thing you have when you have a goal is you have structural tension. Oh, Michael, Michel? Oui,
Yep.
merci. Écoute.
You have, I guess you could say you have motivation as well.
Yes, okay. So I was going to just jump on that. What you have is this tension, this cognitive dissonance that comes when you set a goal. It means you're stretching for somewhere where you're not at, and that creates tension or cognitive dissonance, which is actually the fuel that fires the engine. Because when you don't have that structural tension, there's no energy in the system. There's no tension to be relieved or released. So having a goal and sticking to the goal right to the last day of the month is critical to give you the propellant, the energy to go after it. Now, it's not about whether you achieve it or not. It's not why we set a goal. It's about who must you become in order to achieve it. And so once you set a goal and you commit to that goal and you create that structural tension, you create the discomfort on purpose. That's how professionals do business and do life. They set uncomfortable goals on purpose and then strive to achieve them. And in the striving to achieve them, they grow. That's how it works. Do they achieve them? Not always, sometimes. I know this month was a really good month. This past month, we've had some people strive to achieve their goals, and we have some pretty amazing achievements that I'm sure we're going to get reported on in the next days. I'm aware of a gold, an impending announcement for a new gold in Canada, and and we actually have somebody. I don't think he's on the call, who was a silver but did the equivalent of becoming a silver again this month, and I'll share maybe some of his stats for you because he was a bit of a beta test to demonstrate that the process works in real time. I think his volume was 7,300 and something for the month of November. I think there were two executives and two seniors, first level, out of that as well. Um, so, hey, Dave, welcome. We are on
Thank
call
you. Welcome.
47 after a great month, November. It's the day that we set new goals for new achievements. And as I was just talking about, the reason we do that, it's not always because we are going to achieve the goal, but it's about having something to strive for, puts energy in the system, creates that structural tension that's so definitely necessary. And Dave, what would you say to people who don't set a goal?
Who don't what?
Who don't set a goal?
I mean, okay, so if you think about it for just a brief moment, anything that you do is based on a decision that you made. So a decision is a goal. So I'm going to get up tomorrow is a goal. I'm going to have a wonderful evening with my girlfriend is a goal. I'm going to go and have a very productive day is a goal, but you make the decision and then you go about doing the activity. So if there's nothing set to go after, then what the hell are you doing? I mean, it doesn't make any sense. So there you go.
Yeah, I honestly, I don't know. I don't understand not having a goal, especially in any form of business. If you claim to be a business owner and you don't have a goal, then do you really have a business, or are you just sort of floating along, hoping that the wind will pick you up and take you where you want to go? Like Dorothy and the Wizard of Oz. Keep praying on that. Um, so yeah, having a
Yeah,
goal.
on this topic though, Michael, I think what's really important, you set a goal to go Royal Diamond. I set a goal to go Royal Diamond. I also set a goal to go diamond. I also set a goal to go platinum. I'm sure you did the same thing. I set a goal to go gold. I set a goal to go silver. And of course, in my day, silver was 40,000 points, which is a far cry from where it is right now. And it was completely overwhelming to me. But here's what I remember, the fact that it was out there and it was something to be accomplished. When I hit the goal, it was like I was on seventh heaven. So it was kind of like, the reward is the achievement. The
Yes.
award is going through the process. And if you don't create the goals to play the game, then again, what's the point?
Yeah,
And
you
and
bring up a
that
good
that's the
point.
beauty of doing this business.
Imagine you're, I mean, a terrible example, but you're the Toronto Maple Leafs, and 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 you have no ambition to win the game tonight.
Yeah, exactly.
And so you're just on the ice to play. That's kind of what they're about right now, actually, the Leafs. But but think about that. What would that be like if you're just like on the ice to play a game? Like you can't consider yourself a professional if you're just doing that. So yeah, having a goal and setting goals and achieving goals, goal achievement, that's really that's your first.
And this, I want to add something else here because this is a very important topic and it deserves a lot of work. But I remember the first girlfriend I was going to live with, and this is a long time ago. But anyway, because of my upbringing, I saw my father took care of the household, paid the bills, all that sort of stuff. I had in my mind, well, I had to take on the responsibility of her financial needs as well. So that was the goal. And at that time, between the two of us, it was like $1,200 a month for us to live, survive, pay, put our rent down, and all that sort of stuff. And I got that accomplished. And I said, man, this really is, it's very rewarding. Had I not set that out, I may not have accomplished. I would have had a substandard of living or enjoyment. But what I realized from there was if I just kept upping it, gradiently, from instead of 1,500, 1,200 into 1,500 into 2,000. That's what happened throughout history, as we know in our financial world and inflation and all those things. What you could do back then for $100 today costs $12,000.
Yeah.
So you got to have those goals.
Yeah, I can't imagine there's a single company that you can buy stocks in on the stock market that whose CEO and his staff don't have goals for the company, for the region, for the
Exactly.
et cetera. In fact, they have goals that they try and achieve every quarter, and that is what really kind of determines a lot about the value of the stock, if they're hitting their marks or not, or what adjustments need to be made. That's why they might say something is down or something is up in this quarter. What are they referring to? It's just a number. Well, it's in reference to the expectations of the company. So that means they have expectations. Do you? Do you have expectations for your company, your business called Nikan? And if you don't, that's the first mistake. So you don't want to make that mistake twice. Also,
Now,
yeah, go ahead.
just to add to the goal thing, once you make the goal, the next step is also extremely important, and that's to understand what you got to do to reach the goal. And that becomes your battle plan, that becomes your business plan, that becomes your daily tasks. It's like, the three little pigs and the pig that built the brick house, he had to have enough bricks to build the house.
Mhm.
So if his goal was to build a house, well, then he had to gather the bricks to build it, and then he had to put in the time to lay the bricks and et cetera, et cetera. Well, it's the same thing here. You got to do 6,000 points to get to get to silver. Well, how many people, how many sales, how many calls do you have to make? How many doors do you have to knock on, so to speak? How many prospects do you have to line up? What's your pipeline? When you set out that plan and then you go ahead and you progress towards the goal can happen. But if you don't lay out the things to do and strategize and figure out where you're going to go, it's let's say you're Apple and you come out with Apple 17 and you got to go to the manufacturing and you got to predict how many units you're going to sell and you got to predict how many units you got to have in hand and you got to get with all the telephone companies and make all the deals and structure all the financing. That's all the strategy of reaching the goal. And if they want to sell 10 gazillion iPhone 17s, then that happened a long time ago where they set that goal and then they put in motion all the detail work. That's the strategy and the activities. And then you manage by your statistics so that if they aren't going the way you want to go, then you can tweak it and improve it, correct what's down and flourish what's up. So it's a whole package, Mike.
Okay, 100%. We're definitely on point here tonight. I was in Puerto Vallarta with Luis Casuga, our CEO and owner, with the Latin American team for their annual summit, their leadership summit. And one of the things that Luis wanted to make a very strong point for in his keynote speech was that the compensation plan is the business plan. In other words, all you have to do to understand, set a goal, look at the compensation plan. It defines what is it that has to get done. What's the volume? What's the structure? Essentially, those are the two things. Then you look at breaking that down into a strategy and from what you may or may not know. Now, one of the things I know is not everybody understands how to put together a strategy to achieve their goal. And that's fair. That's fine. One of the things that Dave and I have made ourselves available for, especially on a Thursday night, is to help people really gather up that strategy. What is the strategy to attain the goal, whatever the goal may be? But again, looking at the compensation plan, do you know that you can actually correlate an income goal to the compensation plan? There's a sheet that is in your back office called the income disclosure sheet. And it shows you, it's a terrible sheet. I hate it because it's only something that the government requires, but it doesn't give you the information, the right information, the information that would be more pertinent to somebody who's really looking at the business objectively, because they tell you what the average income is at a particular rank. That doesn't help. If a person's not qualifying or not active, and yet they're still being considered as part of that number, then they lower the average. So the actual number, more interesting, would be what is the income earned when someone qualifies at that rank? Give us that average number. So I've actually requested Niken provide a revision to that document to include that one column because it'll give us much more interesting information. But let's just take, for instance, the high income. That's easier because then it eliminates the average number. So you can look at the Niken compensation, the disclosure sheet, and see what is the income at those ranks associated with those ranks in Niken. And so you can look at a goal, an income goal, and say, okay, what rank is identified to that particular income? And then that gives you the rank. Then you go to the compensation plan and say, okay, what is it that I need to do to achieve that rank? And now you have the beginnings of a business plan. And then you can speak to any one of us and we can help put together the strategy, the definitive strategy that will break down into measurable activities that are probably going to be broken down into quarter, then the month, then the week, and then the day, right down to the daily method of operation. What's your daily activity that leads to the weekly conclusion that that 4 of those cycles lead to the monthly conclusion, 3 of those cycles lead to the quarterly conclusion, and then you can measure all along the way whether you're on track. And I want to give you an example of this because this was something that I was doing this past month in order to provide context and this type of content. So some of you know Roberto Gonzalez. I don't think he's on the line. So Roberto and I were working together this month to quote unquote launch. So he was example A. He's the person I'm launching as if he was brand spanking new in Nikken. And so we went through the month. His volume was 7,313 points for the month. So I said, give me the breakdown. How many calls did you make to invite? How many invitations? Contact and invite. So the steps in the process are contact and invite, then the how presentation. How does Nikken solve somebody's why? The contact and invite is establish the why they might look at an opportunity. The presentation establishes how Nikken can actually solve that. Tomorrow night, for instance, I think I'm presenting tomorrow night. I believe I am. I'll be presenting the Balanced Life, Happy Life presentation, which is the how presentation. And then you can fortify that with demonstrate product demos, videos, whatever. Then the next presentation, if they're asking the right questions, is how does the money work? That's where Dave and I jump in on a Thursday night. In this case, I was working with him, Robert in his own agenda. And then at the end of the what conversation, which, they have questions and answers, they have to make a decision. And not everybody makes a decision right away. Some slower than others, some don't make it at all. But here are the stats. You might want to write this down. 20 contact and invites. Not a lot, right? Certainly not what you would expect for somebody going silver. So fairly modest. However, look at the conversion. Out of 20 contact and invites, how many people went to the presentation to learn about Nikken? 15. 15 of the 20 invites came to the presentation. Cool, huh? Out of the 15 who came to the how presentation, here's usually where the fall off happens. How many people went to the tell me more about the income opportunity? 7, almost half. Not a bad statistic. We usually expect a third, but this is not bad. Better. And I'm going to tell you what the secret sauce was, why this happened. Now, the result of them having the why, the how, and the what conversations, 4 became customers, 7 joined as consultants, which means they signed up. But what does that mean? Not much. And of the 7 that joined, 4 became partners. What's a partner? Somebody who's investing in their business. And that means seniors and executives. So we had 2 seniors and 2 executives out of that join as partners. So that, again, is not a bad statistic when you're thinking about the one-third rule. This is way better than that. And the total volume, 7,313, which is more than enough to get a silver ship done. So the numbers and the process lead to the consequence, the results. But if you're unclear about the numbers or the process, you're going to be pretty unclear about what results to expect. Now, what was the secret sauce? The contact and invite led to an ABC. So once they were invited, the next thing that happened was an ABC call with me. Then they were given information to review, videos, whatever. The follow-up from that then was another ABC, me being the A, of the what presentation, which is what Dave and I communicate on Thursdays. And then from that came follow-up, which led to 4 customers, 7 consultants, 4 of which became senior and or executive. So there you go. Not a bad start to a launch. Now, this month is the 2nd month in the launch. Guess what my instructions to Robert are? Take a wild guess. The instructions to Robert are go
Do the
silver.
same thing.
Exactly. Thank you, Paul.
Same thing.
Go silver again. That's the instructions. And they will be the instructions for January. Go silver again. Because what we know is that in order for us to have three rock solid legs, we need to have nine partners, nine that are running. That'll lead to those big legs, those rock solid legs. So, how many of you heard last week's call, or maybe you were on last week's call? We kind of ended a call on a real high. Um, we talked about filling the pipeline. We talked about January 5th, 5-year run, kicks off the 5-year run to 500 million. I think it was Nancy. Somebody, it was either Nancy or Jeannie. Somebody texted, it was Nancy. She said, that's kind of serendipitous. The fives, January 5th, 5-year, 500 million. I didn't even think about that. But yeah, it's all fives, 555. So yeah, January 5, we kickstart the 5-year run because it officially starts January 5th. 5-year run, 500 million. Okay. If you're not boasting about this, if you're not bragging about this impending experience, this 5-year impending exciting movement forward, then you're missing the point. Hence, if you have no goal, you're missing the point. What is 5-year run to 500 million if not a goal? And without that, why would we be considering January 5th as a launch? And on a smaller scale, if we didn't have silver, 6,000 points as a goal, why would we be considering November as the launch to achieve it? Do you understand? One leads to the other. No goal, no launch. No launch, no nothing. No results worth mentioning. Certainly nothing to duplicate. So everything starts with having a goal and then back engineering what it looks like to achieve that goal and getting some help from people who've done it, who can help assist you in back engineering that. Now, we are coming up on December 15th, Dave. I don't know if you remember, this is call 47, which means 46 calls ago, we asked everybody to write themselves a check,
Yeah, right.
which is supposed to come in on the 15th of December. How many of you remember that call? How many of you remember the number you wrote for yourself? Okay, I want you to keep this in mind, and I want you to be honest. This is where your mics are unmuted unless you got background noise, and you've got to be honest with us. How many feel honestly that you did what you needed to do in order to achieve that goal? Anybody?
I'd like to ask the next question.
So right now we don't have anybody volunteering that they did what they needed to do to achieve the goal. I wonder what your next question is, but I'm wondering if they know what they needed to do, if they even knew what they needed to do. That's one of my questions. But go ahead, Dave.
Well, again, help is an incredible thing. And I learned a long time ago that if I needed to figure something out or I wasn't getting somewhere, raise my hand and ask for help. And I think, the generosity that Mike and I try and put out there of the willingness to help, the lack of calls, the lack of if you didn't reach your goal, shame on you.
Mhm.
You didn't call, you didn't get help. This is not a hard thing to do. As Mike just explained with his example of what one guy did in November that I mean, you know, that used to be happening every 5 seconds. It's going to happen every 5 seconds again. But the key to it is if something's not working or going right, there's something missing that needs to be tweaked and corrected so you get on the right path. Because obviously what you're doing isn't what's going to create the end result that you want. Anyway, that's what I was going to say.
So if you feel, maybe what I could ask then as a follow-up question is, what do you think you would have now you have the benefit of hindsight. You've gone through an entire year with two of Niken's most capable as your coaches and cheerleaders and prepared to step in anytime asked. You've gone through an entire year almost with a pretty big goal that you set out. What happened? What stopped you from doing what it took? Was the goal too big? Or did you just simply not put in the elbow grease and the strategy to make it happen? Bart?
My goal was probably too big, but you've got to make it scary to make it worthwhile to go after.
So,
My challenge was I wasn't getting out of my dwelling to meet people, to connect with brand new people. So my biggest challenge was trying
wait. Question. Is there a person on this call who connects with people on his computer?
Well, that's what I'm trying to do.
Is there somebody on this call who's successful at connecting with people using his computer? And it's a he.
Leo,
Have you asked Leo for help?
I
Teaching you
have
a little bit
not.
of. Okay, so there's an example of why this team exists, but it's not using itself effectively. So here's a guy who can achieve contacts through social media, online, and that was the struggle. That's the thing that you had to overcome, but you didn't reach out to the guy who every week is on this call telling us about how he's doing these things. So there's an example.
I should
Cannot
have
go
done
in,
it.
cannot go into 2026 making the same mistake twice. Anybody else? What held you back?
Would
Lynn?
say I allowed others, including the family, take away the time and not prioritizing my business over other people's needs.
Okay, so your goal wasn't as important to you as meeting other people's needs.
I include mostly family, so it's hard struggle, Mike, to prioritize family versus importance of goal.
Sure, no, I
Because in
understand.
yeah,
However, still saying, however, could there not have been an adjustment to compensate for that?
absolutely, absolutely. I didn't do a good job there for sure.
Because even if we're short on time, we can compensate. We can make up for lost time in gaps that we can create because we know we now need to catch up. But if we don't have a commitment to achieve the goal, then we never catch up. We
Absolutely
just
true.
we
Yeah.
just set a new low, a new standard. So we change our strategy mid-we, but for the worse, not for the better. So that's why it's important to keep tabs on your activity and make the course corrections along the way. It's also important to have somebody that you're working with that can coach you through that. Anyone else? Bela?
I actually truly decided that I was going to do this as a business at the beginning of the summer. And I'd already overcommitted to all kinds of courses that I had signed up for and paid for, so I couldn't get out of them. I would have lost my money. And this is not an excuse, but my health really declined because I was overcommitted and doing too much. And I mentioned that to Paula and Maggie a few times that I just can't sustain this. Even the calls every night, I don't know how I managed to show up. And Paula said to me, because you're afraid of missing out. I said, yeah, because I love it. I want to be there. I want to be in this energy, but I'm just not able to make myself do it. And the three people I picked that led me to silver turned out to be duds.
Hey, I got news for you. Every dud knows a stud. Maybe you should talk to them.
I mean, here I am, chasing after them that listen, the Black Friday sales, you're never going to get a better opportunity. And oh, I better get on it. Do I see an order from her? And I told her, you don't need very much to go silver. You know, you can do it with the
But,
with the
but,
items I know she wanted.
but see, that may be your goal, not hers. So the question I would come
Yeah,
back
well,
to
this is
is,
it. It
what
isn't.
is it that she wants?
She wants it,
What?
but the husband,
She
she
wants
wants
what?
to get to silver.
Why? Why would anybody want to get to silver? What's there
Well,
waiting
she
for
doesn't
them?
want this necessarily as a business now. She's decided that, okay? She joined with the intention of signing up people, okay? And that fizzled out about 2 months ago.
So
She
she
said,
didn't
no.
actually have a goal or a commitment to achieve that goal because she didn't have a why.
Yeah, exactly. She doesn't need the money. She doesn't care.
No why? No reason. No
Yeah,
motive.
exactly. So, and the other one had a health issue. And so she was just taken over by the health issue. Nothing. She did nothing. And the third one, who was supposed to be, who's an alternative practitioner locally, she had all these big plans. And all of a sudden she said, I'm investing in my other business instead. I can't afford to invest in Niken too. So she put one little order in, and that's where we stopped. And so
How's
it's
our other business doing?
extremely well.
Okay, so she made a decision. Good for her.
Hmm.
On you go.
Hmm. So I don't bother even, I would send emails. This is happening, that's happening. I don't know if you saw the emails from Niken. And she said, too many emails. I don't have time for this. So
Okay.
I took that as a cue.
Let me just take a second here. So today, actually it was yesterday that I made the announcement to the group that of the enrollees. Okay, so remember there was 7 consultants, I guess, plus the four. I don't know if it's 7 or 11. I have to check. But of all the people that enrolled in this team, um, we put an announcement out that as of today, there would be a new group chat opened up for those who achieved senior or executive. And that new group would be the group that we focused on for the launch in January. So we were basically saying to everybody, if you're not committing to your business, sayonara.
Mhm.
Now, without saying that, but the first group remains. So the first group is still there, but they're going to be treated as team B, not A team. They're the B
Right.
team. The B team is whenever you need us, however you need us, let us know and we'll do what we can. Meanwhile, we'll plug you into group activities that we have that you can tap into.
Mhm.
Now, my experience, like your experience, Bela, is it's pretty much a sayonara. Because if they don't make a commitment right up front when they have all of the access they could possibly have, all the incentives, all the access, all the everything, if they're balking at that, they're not coming around.
Mhm. And so my pipeline dried up, and I still have that one, that Debbie that came a few weeks ago. She ended up in the hospital 2 days later or the next day. So she just tells me, I still want to do it, but I can't, like, I'll get back to you.
Okay.
So,
Pipeline. Pipeline dried up. Long before your pipeline dried up, is there anybody on this call that you could ask for help in figuring out how to open up the pipeline or get the pipeline flowing?
of course, I talk to Paula regularly. I'm at every call, and I get a lot of motivation from that and a lot of incentive that I can do this. But then again, as I
That's
said,
not what I asked. How to get the
yeah, I could
pipeline opened
call,
up.
yeah, but I'm
How
in
to,
touch with them all the time, right? So what
okay, but
else?
I'm talking about the practical. You need practical advice, not motivation. You have the motivation. What you need
Yeah,
is the practical tools to get in touch with people, have access to more people. So some
I do.
brainstorming
I do have
around
access.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go. If you have access, then your pipeline did not dry up. You just didn't go after it. So, but you see what I'm saying? Like, we can have this conversation with everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody is going to create their story.
Mm-hmm.
You all have a story around this that you're telling yourself or selling yourself. But at
Mm-hmm.
the end of the day, if you were to give us permission to be critical of your assessment, then it would be the mind of somebody who is more capable of seeing through the fog to help you understand what's really at work here
Right.
or what's not at work, what's working against you.
Mm-hmm.
So,
My volume is so close to gold, but I don't have yeah. Anyways, doesn't matter.
so all of that being said, the point that I guess I'm trying to make in is that if you didn't achieve your goal, we're now 12 months into this, and you probably knew a long time
No,
ago you
I'm
were,
into this 6 months,
yeah,
really.
no, I'm
Yeah.
just saying in general,
Yeah.
not speaking to you, but
Hmm.
in general. And for all fairness, I don't know if you wrote a check to yourself for December
No, I
15th,
wasn't even,
because we did that way
we
back in
did, yeah.
January. So unfair, not fair to you, but for the benefit of everyone who was part of that. And again, we're coming into a new year, but this is an important year. This is a kickoff year. This is a year that we go 5-year run, 500 million. So I don't want, and Dave certainly doesn't want you to repeat 2025
25.
going into 2026. So if we don't take stock, if we don't have this conversation, then we're not going to be real
Right.
about what we have to do or what changes need to be made. And that's why having this type of a conversation to say, okay, when did I know I was off course? And
Probably.
I'm not spelling it out to you,
Okay.
Bela. I'm
Right.
just putting it
Okay.
out to the audience.
Yeah.
It's just a sort of a rhetorical question to
Right.
ask yourself, when did I know I was off course? I can tell you for sure it wasn't last month. So we could probably go back to February and they were already off course. So when do the adjustments need to be made?
Immediately.
Yeah. The
Not yesterday.
adjustments.
I mean, not tomorrow, yesterday.
Yeah. So if you've got a strategy for the year that's broken down to quarterly, monthly, weekly, you can tell first week if there's anything you have to change.
Mhm.
Second week, if there's anything you have to change. If you didn't meet your objectives for the first month, what do you need to change? Like, so the assessment, the opportunity to make those changes are always there. But if you don't connect with somebody who can help you make those changes, because your goal is not like a heat-seeking missile,
Mhm.
then what happens is we move the target. Oh, well, I guess I didn't need to have that happen this month. Maybe I can do it next month. Well, guess what? If you just move the target from this month to that next month, that moves the outcome in December to January. So everything leads to everything. So you had to make up for it, not just adjust it, make up for the lack of whatever had to happen in order for your plan to succeed. So I'll give you an example. Let's say we're building a house and there was a snowstorm. So the electricians couldn't come in this week to finish what they had to finish because they had to finish what they had to finish so the insulators could come in and do their insulation. And they're all booked, they're all scheduled. Well, now the electricians are behind. So I have to hold off the insulators. Well, what else comes after the insulators? The drywallers. So the drywallers have to be held off.
Snowball effect.
It's a snowball effect. So I have to make adjustments. So I might now have to rearrange when does the electrician come in, when does the and so on and so forth. I have to make those accommodations. And if I want to get back on schedule, they have to do it in less time or something has to give.
Mhm.
Those are the things that happen every day in everyday life with people. If you're living in a city where there's construction going on, that's happening every day because guess what? Life happens.
Plan B
And
has to always be there.
so so it's important for everyone that you make a commitment to your goal and you make the adjustments along the way. Dave. Dave, we can hear you, Dave.
And get yourself a mentor.
Uh-huh.
Get yourself a mentor so that you've got somebody to call and talk to immediately.
So again, going into 2026, we're not going to make the same mistake twice. So this is a very important conversation here.
Mhm.
Let's see, what else? Did anybody else have something that's held them back?
Well, I would like to, talk about mine. Mine was the check that was supposed to come in on December 15th was $100,000. And we're nowhere near that. So, okay, how do I correct the course? It might be that that's not really what I want. I'm at the stage in my business where, like, I've achieved volume goals. I've gone to Japan. Whatever it took, I did, and got it done. I'm at this stage now where perhaps my goal is I want to find, three good people, three diamond people who are who have that mindset from the get-go. So perhaps my goal needs to, when we were talking about last time, that if you're going to pre-qualify people, it's going to be about 10% to the people that you reach out to. And so that's really where I'm wanting to put my energy, because I yeah, I've done it myself pretty much many times. I can't do that anymore,
Right.
and I don't want to.
We're not going to do 500 million
No.
that way, right? It
Yeah.
really is a team effort. So, Paul, by the way, my first $100,000 check in Nikan was in 1997. And if I look back at what was going on the month that that volume was created to create that check, that's also the month I went Royal Diamond. And the activity level and the size of the organization that I had running was quite sizable. It was not a one-man show. It was not my doing. It was the collective of many, many, many people, each who had their own goals, some to attain silver, some to attain gold, some to attain platinum. I even had, well, I think platinum was the highest goal for at that particular season for my members of my team. So without the team, that volume would have been impossible, even if I had a vision for it. So the strategy has to be an effective strategy. And by the way, I was working Niken full time. So if you look at, was I doing what it took? The answer was 100%. But it wasn't just me. It was a lot of other people who are on my team also doing what it took for them to achieve their goal. And so the first priority is the team, and then the individual goals and the team goal in that order. So what you're saying is what you're looking for now, the new strategy that you're going to apply is that you're looking for people who don't want to go slow. You're looking for people who don't have better things to do. You're looking for people who make this a high priority in their life because this is the best thing they could possibly do. A win at this, it provides them with everything they want. And so then you have to measure, is their level of commitment from the very beginning aligned? Is it the kind of person who says what they mean and means what they say? Is it demonstrated in their actions? The first action is am I investing in my business? I had a call with one of the people this past month, and I said to them, they finally came clean because it's like nobody wants to be honest with their finances. I'm like, well, if your strategy is not working, that's probably a good reason to get into Niken, isn't it? And they're like, I guess so. I said, so here's what your first task is going to be. It's not to go and build a team. You're not in a position to do that. Your first task is to go and find the money that you're going to need to invest in your products, whatever that takes, whatever that looks like. And then I told them the story that I always tell somebody, the story of my buddy from Quebec who didn't have 2 cents to rub together, but went out, got a job, selling in the streets of Montreal, made the money to put a down payment on a car, buy his Niken products, and kickstart his Niken business. That commitment to just get ready to start his business is what was demonstrating the fact that this guy could go the distance, and he did. So if the person's not willing to do the investment in their products, I write them off. I am not forgiving about that because I believe mentally they are not prepared to do the most basic thing. They're mentally not going to be prepared to do the more complicated things. And the most basic thing is to put it on your credit card or find the money. And if you really are that bad off that you can't do that, borrow the money from somebody who trusts you. And if you can't do that, what does that really say about your strategy for life? Is this somebody that I think is my A team? Now, they may have the desire and figure it out and come back to me like Sylvain did 3 months later. But that's their problem, not mine. That's their issue, not mine. But I set the rules. You want to work with me? You want to win? I play to win. I don't play to play. These are the rules of engagement with me. And that individual became the first diamond in Quebec. So, no joke. If you treat it like a business, treat it. That doesn't mean you can't have compassion for people and that there's not some place for everyone. There is. There's an opportunity for people to join Niken, do Niken at their pace. But where your time is concerned, and more important, your emotions, your emotional investment in people, it's got to be with people who are ready to play, not harvesters of energy vampires who will steal your energy 24/7 because they got nothing better to do than complain about the noise.
Mhm.
So if we're going to hit 500 million in 5 years, it's not going to be with lame ducks. It's going to be with people who want something out of life, who are ready to do what it takes and put Niken on the front burner, not the back burner. Yes, we're going to attract all kinds, but your attention, your focus, your radar has to be laser on what it is you're looking for and who they are and what their characteristics are like. And when you start communicating that yourself in your tone and the way your expectations and so forth, the right person is going to take you seriously. The wrong person is going to be scared away. Thank you, God, for scaring them away because I don't have time to waste. The right person, though, will be impressed. The right person will be much more committed because they think you're committed. But when you're wishy-washy, when you don't have a goal, when you don't know what you want, you don't know what you're going for, you don't know what you're looking for, what exactly do we call this? A social experiment? So 500 million, 5 years is going to take some grit. It's going to take some people with courage, with heart, with demands, with expectations. We have a place for them. We have a plan for them. We have a structure for them. We have an infrastructure for them. We have Niken. We have the technology. We have the backbone of the compensation plan, etc. Nothing's missing. We're just missing the talent, and we're wasting our time not looking for it. As serious as a heart attack, we should be looking for it. $100,000 check, Paul. For you to be worthy of that check, you know what you have to do. Even for you to think of yourself as worthy of that check. What is it that what behavior would be akin to somebody who is going to make $100,000 on December 15th? Like, what would you expect they are doing?
I mean,
Think about it.
this, yeah, I mean, and it's not like a yearly. I mean, I get that in a year. It has to be something that comes like that monthly. That's what I'm after.
Yeah.
Not
So,
like it adds up in a whole. I do
well,
that already.
you start putting that number out there to people, and you're going to immediately scare off everybody who doesn't see themselves as anywhere near worth $100,000 a month in income. But you're going to get intrigue from people who actually do.
Yeah, I should be much more focused on that. It's the monthly. That's what I'm looking for. Um, it's just that like we have, keep hearing on Canada's like down the tubes and like there's so many. Is it harder to find people like this today?
Yes, it is. I think it is. I think it's harder to find people because everybody has been shell shocked into if I can only survive today, I'll be happy. So yeah, the optimism has been stolen, and I blame our governments because they've conspired against us to do this. So yes, we have been under attack, and there's only one way out of this one. Move forward. That's how you do it. You find kindred spirits. You find people who've got courage and are not going to go down without a fight. And you band together and you create a win, a big win. I don't know if I think I mentioned this last week, but one of the characters that I follow in network marketing, he just wrote a book. Um, he's brilliant. He's a young guy. I think he's in his 30s. He's Italian living in Switzerland, I believe. And the company he works with is only in like 5 or 6 countries in Europe. But they did something like we do, an incentive of some kind. They did some kind of a launch in November. And the first 24 hours, I think I mentioned this, the first 24 hours of their launch, are you ready for this? The first 24 hours of his team getting involved in this launch, they did 6.3 million euros in 24 hours. 6.3 million euros in 24 hours. That was the beginning of the launch. So,
Yeah, wow. I mean, I know who. Yeah,
and what that's for me, what that says to Mike DiMuccio is there's hope for this industry, and there are people out there that mean business and are not scared of big numbers like that and going after the impossible, because to them there's nothing worth going after except the impossible, because the rest of it looks like shit. Mediocrity looks like crap. And the level of mediocrity that we have today has gone so low that mediocrity by today's standards is the worst. It's going backwards. It's not even holding you steady. So it's really getting bold. It's getting emboldened and bold with people and saying, okay, this reminds me of an audio cassette that I used to listen to from Kim Claver, I think was her name. I was in her comic book. She did a network marketing comic book. I have it in my closet. And I'm one of the characters. They had the hair, everything. So I'm one of the characters in this book on one page, something about my story or something. I don't know what it was. Anyway, there's something in there. But she had an audio cassette, and the title of the audio cassette was Say No First. Say no first. She said, you're going to get a lot more no's, a hell of a lot more no's than you're going to get yeses. And if you are emotionally tied to that, you're screwed. You're not going to get past first base. So say no first. Be the first to say, you know what, this is not for you. So I put this may not be for you in my opening script. In my contact and invite, you'll read, do not get off the phone unless you say this may not be for you, because I want the opportunity to say this is not for you first. So I put it in the script, right in the opening sequence of inviting somebody to look at this. And by the way, that drops the pressure completely, So now it's not about convincing or selling. I'm not in the convincing or selling game. I will introduce you to the idea, and if your why is big enough, I have the how that can make that happen. And it's up to you to see how those moving parts come together. I will do everything I can to show you, to answer your questions, to put you in front of whatever information or people you need to see it for yourself. But if after all that you still can't see it for yourself, sayonara. Next. And that's how you play big. That's how you play to win. It's not being, I'm not being dismissive. I'm just trying to give you sort of a two-dimensional view. Of course, I'm much more compassionate and more caring in my words, my choice of words. But I'm trying to give you the understanding of you can't make it for somebody else. You can't want it for somebody else. You can't push a string. They got to come with batteries equipped.
So that group in Italy, they live in the same world we do.
Mm-hmm. Yes, they do.
What are they, how are they somehow motivating themselves or finding motivated people?
They're doing everything that I've been teaching and Dave's been teaching for the last year. They're doing it. They actually do it. They don't talk about it. They don't entertain themselves by it. They actually engage. So they engage with purpose. They engage with passion. They have huge goals. They are tied to their compensation plan to rank advance. They hold big events, and nobody comes to the table, crying the blues. They have a mission. The book is called Moonshot, I think. The title of the book, Moonshot. Sandro Cazzato is his name, and he's going to be one of the guest speakers at um, the event on December 3rd to 5th, Eric Worre's event. So if you're interested in hearing all about Sandro or his book, um, December, Eric Worre's event. In the next, I guess it's this weekend, maybe coming up. Does anybody have the date on Eric Worre's event? It's like free. It's like $3 if you want to get in on Eric Worre's events. Some crazy $3 price.
Say that again, please, Mike.
Eric Worre has an event coming up. Eric Worre is the GoPro. Eric Worre's event at his place in it's online. It's an online event. He built this.
How do you spell his last name? How do you find him?
Wow. We must have mentioned his name quite a few times.
I have never heard his name before.
Okay, here, let me find his book. Somewhere in this
I take
file.
notes too. My phone
Eric
is always
Worre,
in my.
Worre.
Okay, W-O-E.
Where is it?
W
Okay, somebody got a book? Somebody got a copy of his book?
O-R-R-E.
GoPro. He wrote a book,
GoPro.
GoPro.
Okay.
GoPro, yeah.
Bela.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm missing my book.
And he's
Okay.
Google
Okay.
GoPro.
Oh, here it is. It's
Yep.
right in front of me. Here it is. GoPro, Eric Worre.
Yeah, Barb just showed it to me.
Okay.
Thank you.
So yeah, so he's got an event online. He built this incredible circle theater in the round, which is all Zoom. It's like the most impressive thing. Him and Tony Robbins are the only two in the world that have built something like this. His is in Arizona, I think, or no, Las Vegas. Eric Worre's, and he does an annual event. It used to be a live event, and then so you'd go to Vegas to do this live event. Well, he now does it online, and he can pipe in everybody he needs to. So he's got a few key presenters, and you can learn the ins and outs, and you'll see how many people show up from all over the world, like on a Zoom like this, and you'll be in like one room of 500 rooms, and it's a very impressive opportunity to connect with these people who are playing the game at the highest levels. And yeah, and every year there's a new superstar. It seems like every year there's some new person on the scene that's just blowing it up. And what's so great about that is they're doing it in real time. It's like what Paul said. They were living in our world. Now, guys, we have a kickoff call right now, do we not?
Yeah.
So we have to wrap this one up. Let's continue this conversation next week because I think it's a good one. It's an important one because we want to really get ready for 2026. We want to do this right in 2026. Sounds good?
Okay.
All
Yeah.
right. Okay. See you on the other call.